6 o'clock, call the meeting to order. Ask clerk to take roll.
Walters.
Here.
Dvorak.
Here.
Vogel. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Sarchet.
Here.
First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I have no additions or corrections. I'll take a motion.
So move. Second.
Roll call.
Dvorak.
Yes.
Vogel. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Sarchet.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Motion carries. Time to close the regular meeting and open the public hearing for proposed amendment to the comprehensive plan. Ask the clerk when the notice is published.
April 2nd, sir.
Any written comments for or against?
No, sir.
This time I'd like staff to provide a report.
Mayor, I can do that. Hopefully you can hear me. What you'll see on, I showed on the memo that you should have in your packets, the recent comp plan amendment that was for the school site, changing that to civic, and it also reduced the amount of industrial land use in Big Creek Technology Campus, so that would accommodate low density residential to the north. Then what we're proposing now is looking at the rest of Big Creek Technology Campus, and that the main change there would be showing the larger park in a more centralized location at the location the city's contemplating at this point in time, rather than the location up along the north boundary as it was previously. The area would still be surrounded with low density residential. East Vista Lake would be a collector street to the East Park entrance. And those are really the main changes at this point in time. The second change was approved a little bit different at a different time through P&Z, but what this shows is the recreational trail showing the recreational trail going along the south side from 3rd Street along the south side of the school, meandering then through the park, wherever that winds up being, and then north to the Oasis where it would connect to the High Trestle Trail. So that shows that as the preferred route. The comprehensive plan had kind of looked at another route to the east, but that property owner wasn't cooperative or wasn't interested in the trail being there. So this is represents Polk County's current alignment for the High Trestle Trail. And then the third kind of area that we're looking at amending for the comprehensive plan is Whitetail Parkway. As the comprehensive plan showed Whitetail Parkway, but it had a little bit different location. So what we're asking now is to amend the comprehensive plan so that Whitetail Parkway follows the plats that have already been approved in Whitetail Ridge and the developer's intention to plat as all the way over to 72nd Street. And then we had looked at a preliminary alignment based on contours and a little bit more detail than we had at the comprehensive planning stage that shows that trail aligning, or Whitetail Parkway running to the east past North 3rd and then connecting back to 126th Street. And part of it's a fairly subtle change from the comprehensive plan as approved. However, this just gives us more opportunity to review if a plat should come in the extraterritorial sub area outside the city limits in there. It allows the city to have some way to protect that corridor, since Whitetail Parkway is considered real important from a comprehensive planning standpoint to try to keep traffic off of North 3rd. So all of these things have been through in kind of at various times with P&Z, and so we're bringing them all together to council and recommending approval.
Thanks, Kathleen. Is anyone on the phone who wishes to be heard for or against the proposed amendment?
Yes. My name is Ann Wagner. Is it okay to speak now?
Not quite yet. We're still in unless you're wanting to speak to the comprehensive plan amendment.
Oh, no, thank you.
Anyone else on the phone who wishes to be heard for or against the proposed amendment? Hearing none or seeing none, I need a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the regular meeting.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Vogel. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Sarchet.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Dvorak.
Yes. Motion carries. Next item is resolution 21-25, amending the comprehensive plan. I need a motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, so I think this is really exciting stuff, maybe less so, Whitetail Parkway, but, a little easier to get excited about a school and a bike trail than a road, nothing against the road, but, I do think that it was brought up, in our P&Z workshop, and I don't know if this is the trigger, but as we change things on the comprehensive plan to have that joint planning session, and maybe this is, if this is a big picture item, if we can do it in person, and so we need to wait a little bit to do that in person, that's fine, but I do think, to kind of the main point of compromising on commercial and just all of these adjustments, that one's probably most prominent, but doing something down the road, whatever that definition is would be a good exercise. I see this as a partially, if not exclusively positive changes, but just want to be cognizant of, we went to the work of doing a comprehensive plan, and as we change it, sometimes there are really good reasons to do so, but just revisit it. Revisiting with them. I think it needs to be redrawn or anything, so I think just meeting with them is good.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Vogel? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Sarchet?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
DeVore?
Yes.
Motion carries. It's time to close the regular meeting and open the public hearing for the proposed rezoning request from Knapp Properties east and north of East Vista Lake Avenue. Ask the clerk when the notice is published.
April 2nd?
Any written comments for or against proposed rezoning?
No, sir.
This time I'd like staff to provide a report.
Oh yeah, I can do that again. This is Kathleen. This is really three separate rezonings. The first is R1 to R1A. And in your memo, you can see where that's located is essentially north of the school at the east end, and then north of the area that was just designated for parkland. So that would take it from its existing R1 to R1A, so that would allow slightly smaller lots. The next piece is A1 to R1, and that would be the east portion of the park. And that rezoning essentially would just bring the future parkland so that it's all under the same zoning district of R1, rather than having a split zoning district down, that would subdivide your park. And then the third is an A1 to R1A. There was some area on the east side of Knapp's property that was zoned A1 when it was annexed and just never rezoned. When a property is annexed, it automatically comes in as A1. And so at this point in time, they're proposing to rezone that. That would wrap around the east side of the park to R1A as well for the smaller lots. The R1 would continue to be in place south of the parkland up against Door Frank Acres.
Thanks, Kathleen. Is there anyone on the phone who wishes to be heard for or against proposed rezoning?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Tom Whitman with Knapp Properties at 5000 West Town Parkway, West Des Moines. Glad to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Mayor, you may want to ask the question again.
Yeah. Is there anyone on the phone who wishes to be heard for or against proposed rezoning? Hearing none or seeing none, I need a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the regular meeting.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sarchet?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
DeVore?
Yes.
Vogel? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is first reading of ordinance 2021-1300. The motion, please.
Before we get into a motion,
Can I get a motion in a second, and then we'll call the roll call?
so
Second. No discussion.
So the reason I wanted to get some clarification on, this is a lot of R1 here and very little R1, and I would just, to be honest, it's gonna be hard for me to get on board with it, but I just like to hear from Knapp the rationale for the increased density.
Yeah, Tom Whitman with Knapp Properties, 5000 West Town Parkway. The comp plan designation still considers this a low density. For comparison, our Bridgeview Crossing Plat 2 that we're just starting construction on also allows the 65-foot wide lots, and we've bumped up quite a few of them in excess of the 65 feet. Some as high as 80 feet, I believe, and even a little bit more. We'd have that same opportunity here, certainly coming in at the 65-foot width. At the 65-foot width gives us a chance to respond to changing market conditions, should interest rates increase, should the market drop off. And we can still get, very nice houses on 65-foot lots. Very solid value, if you will. So that's some of our thinking to be concerned about changing market conditions as we move ahead, but still bring a lot of value to the community.
Yeah, I guess I don't question that it would bring value. I just see this as, and obviously more concerned where it's R1 to R1A, but even where it's A1 to R1A. Right now, this is on the edge of town, but this is where we're going to grow. It's next to a school, it's next to our park. I don't see the need for added density with that R1A designation, so.
Yeah. And another point, as you mentioned, being next to the school, usually younger families that want to be next to the school, and, giving them a price point that's more affordable.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I guess I would need to see more, it's something that indicates that there is definitely an increased market. I would love for parents that age, third, fourth, and fifth grade. But I don't know that you're giving that up from R1 to R1A. So.
Yeah, one thing we've done too on these lots, I wish I guess I don't have a drawing to point that out on, but is that we've given almost all of them extra depth. Part of that is backing up to the school and backing up to the future park ground. Part of it is because of topography, to handle the grade change. We don't want the rear yards to have a lot of slope in it right next to the house. You'll see those extra deep lots, especially along south of the future park. But also on the north side, I believe we're at least 150 feet deep and maybe more. Where typically we might be 125 feet deep. So even though we're at 65 feet of width, we are in excess of the standard depth that we usually would have on a 65-foot wide lot.
If I may add, so when Marina Cove was rezoned to R1A from R1, which is where Pine Ridge is, I was concerned. But the whole neighborhood was concerned because we thought that it was going to be very cookie cutter, have influence on housing, et cetera. But as it came through, I was really surprised on really what an R1A. It wasn't a lot different, first of all, but it also, we do need some housing that is, there's a lot of this, but I think we can support it. I think it's a house that's around, I don't know, 3. Is that where, I don't know, Mark, I just know the market, what the market's bearing. And so it wasn't nearly the drastic change I thought it would be. I understand where you're coming from, but I was very pleased to see what houses were up in the area.
Yeah, no, fair point. And,
Yeah.
and I don't, nothing pejorative with R1A. It's not an apartment building, I did that. And I think I asked Chelsea previously, I think 30-ish houses if everything was, R1, that's just, to me, as, maybe this would be different, and to your point, Marina Cove or which part isn't the stepping stone to I get my directions right here one week's time, but to the north, and like this is, so that's the differentiator for me on the density question.
Well,
This is,
I'm 65-foot lot for 50+ years and haven't done in my growth, but also was that way to begin with, and it's the whole neighborhood was 65-foot lots. Where this is going in, and where the existing neighborhood, a lot of it is already on almost full acre lots. Some of them are acreages plus out there, and if I miss this, how many more houses do you get from going from R1 to R1A? What is the increase in density?
We estimated 30.
30 more houses? Well, and after we've already had our traffic study done, anticipating R1, correct? We didn't anticipate R1A in our traffic study.
Kathleen, can you answer that?
No, the traffic study did anticipate the R1A.
She said it did incorporate the R1A. Yep.
We did. Okay.
Yeah, we were trying to do more of a worst case scenario, and the concept had been out there that NAP had provided. So we already had, even though it hadn't been to council, we knew that, so we just planned that accordingly.
Well, if there's one thing we don't need in Polk City right now, it's more density. I won't. Although I appreciate everybody's thoughts about housing that's affordable, but they really aren't. So that's just my feelings.
Anybody have any other questions or comments? I have a first and a second. I take a motion, please. Or I take a roll call, please.
Walters?
Yes.
DeVore?
Yes.
Vogel? Yes. Anderson?
No.
Sarchet?
No.
Motion carries. Next item, public comments. Time and place for any comments for any other item than those that are at a public hearing. Wish to speak, please contact city clerk by 5 p.m. We did have we got 3 different people who did do that. And before we get to that, I'm gonna ask the city manager to speak regarding a topic that I think is gonna come up.
Thank you. I would just like to take a few minutes to give some information about the Quick Start project. Over the last few weeks, we've received many comments from residents living in the Bridgeview development concerned about the Quick Start project. I just want to acknowledge we did receive all of your requests and we thank you for reaching out. So the Quick Start development site plan was reviewed and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 15th, 2020, and by the City Council respectfully on June 22nd, 2020. The layout of the project and location of the building was only brought forward one time to both governing bodies. Various versions of the project happened internally amongst Quick Start. However, the final site plan was the only version that went to both the council and the commission. The Quick Start site plan does include a number of additional buffers to the Bridgeview development, and I would be more than happy to share that landscaping plan with anybody that would like a copy of that. It further details the layout of the project and the required landscaping. And if anybody on the call is interested in that additional information tonight, I'd ask that you just email me directly if you'd like a copy of that. So thank you.
Thanks, Chelsea. First person who is on the list here tonight is Ryan Stone. Ryan, if you're on the call, I'll ask you to give your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Perfect. Thanks very much. And thanks, Chelsea, for the information. I know Rob tried to send that over. It was a little unclear on that, so I might reach back out. Anyway, bear with me. I have to read this off because I got a lot of info to get through, but I'll get to it. So My name is Ryan Stone, and I live at 971 Breakwater Place in the Bridgeview development, and I've lived here since 2011. Well, not in this development, but within town. So I am speaking today to represent many of the residents of Bridgeview and our disappointment in the actions of the council and city management as it relates to the planned quick start within the Bridgeview neighborhood. On June 22nd, 2020, in a single meeting, the city council approved the preliminary and final plan for the construction of a quick start within the logical boundaries of the Bridgeview neighborhood. This plan allows for an automatic car wash and dryers to be placed within 100 feet of neighboring residential property. It also places underground storage tanks within 150 feet of residential property and 60 feet from the stormwater creek that drains into Sailorville Lake. Bridgeview residents have a number of unaddressed concerns with this plan and the method for which it was approved. These include the loss of enjoyment of our properties due to constant noise, the introduction of toxic gases in the neighborhoods with sensitive individuals like children, the lowering of our property values, and loss of ability to sell our properties to individuals utilizing FHA financing due to the proximity of the gasoline storage tanks. All of these concerns are backed up by multiple studies and cited within our official petition to the city, which I delivered via email today, so you should have that. After reviewing the meeting recordings online, it was disappointing to find that much of this could have been avoided by simply reaching out to the neighboring residents. During the 622 meeting, Councilmember Rob Sarchet specifically voiced his concerns about approving a preliminary and final plan without reaching out to residents of the development. This was met with the comment that by law, a public hearing was not required. While this is a true statement, representing the members of your community as part of the city council comes with more obligations than just legal obligations. There are moral and community obligations as well. There is an obligation to represent your neighbors and fellow community members and address their concerns. There is an obligation to live up to the expectations of community members after they cast their vote for you. There are obligations to ensure we are not putting big business desires ahead of the families that have chosen to call Polk City home. Had even one member agreed with Rob, we may not be in this position today. Comments made during this meeting that Bridgeview residents were excited with this plan to bring in a gas station are misleading at best. The official preliminary plan was presented for the first time at this June 22nd meeting, along with the official final plan. After personally speaking with dozens of families of Bridgeview, the prevailing thought was that the gas station would be going on the furthest southern end of the commercial property near the corner of Parker Boulevard and Bridge Road. This is supported by the notes within the official plan that state that the original intentions of Quickstar were to sell off the northern half of the lot and build on the southern. This is what many residents have come to understand as they purchase their lots and homes. Had the official preliminary and final plans not been approved in a single meeting only seconds apart, this would have provided an opportunity for the public to voice their concern. Instead, the council's concern was that it would just delay Quickstar, a Wisconsin company. Bridgeview residents will now be faced with lower home values, toxic benzene gas emissions, and the sound of roaring air dryers on every nice day. These concerns were initially met with the response of, there is no action that the council can take on this matter, but we would be free to speak for 5 minutes at this meeting. It ended up taking an online petition and Facebook post to solicit a response from an actual council member. In the future, we ask that you stop and ask tough questions about plans for our city. Take the time to visit the planned area of development, meet with residents, ensure that environmental and property concerns are addressed prior to approval. We ask that the practice of approving preliminary and final plans for development in a single session is discontinued without a good faith understanding that there are no concerns from residents. Before rushing approvals through, ask the question, would I want to live next to this? And finally, trust your fellow council members when they bring up concerns. We know that running cities is generally a thankless job, and we do appreciate all that you do. I personally do not want to be in your shoes. So with that, thanks for allowing me to speak today. Polk City has a bright future, and I hope my family and friends will continue to call it home for many years to come. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan. The next person is, their name in is, sorry, give me a second here, Phillip Carpenter, Phil Carpenter. Phil,
Hey
you wanna call?
everyone, my name is Phil Carpenter. I too live in the Bridgeview neighborhood, just up the street from Ryan. And I would echo the same commentary. My son plays down at the end of the cul-de-sac on a pretty regular basis, and that would be like 350 feet away from those gas storage tanks, and it's not necessarily the greatest spot for a playground, right? So it's just not conducive to growing up and not the type of environment that I like him to be playing in. Additionally, I mean, our neighborhood is a quiet neighborhood, and that's one of the things that I appreciate most. We moved here from West Des Moines. We lived relatively close to the interstate. The constant buzz of the interstate was annoying. Every time you sat on your back deck, you just had the buzz of the interstate going on. And, here, all I can imagine is Ryan and his family and other young families down at the end of the cul-de-sac sitting out trying to enjoy their dinner on their deck, and commercial hair dryers going off 100 feet away. It's not conducive to, an evening of enjoying your dinner or a glass of wine on the deck. The other thing that really bothers me is young children. There's a lot of young children in our neighborhood, particularly at that end of the cul-de-sac. And I don't know how many of you have kids, but I'm sure you can remember those days of trying to get them to sleep. And just when they fall asleep, somebody rings the doorbell and you're back to square one. I'm afraid that's the challenge that will be faced by many of those families at that end of the cul-de-sac. So my ask is that you delay how things are moving forward with Quick Start, and that you go back and consider our thoughts and what we're facing, and evaluate the impact on the health and the safety of our neighborhood, and then put forward the proposal that's conducive to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Lastly, other comment tonight is from an Ann Wagoner on TCI. Ann, are you on the call?
I am.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. My name's Ann Wagoner, and this is a less weighty issue than the two gentlemen who just spoke. But Mark and I moved here, we're Iowa natives, but moved to Polk City at the end of 2017. And we noticed that there's a huge litter problem in this city. It took me a couple of years to clean out the ravine behind our home at 1504 Tournament Club Way. And over the last 3 years, on my walks down Broadway from Tournament Club Way to the town square, I can usually pick up one huge black garbage bag along the way. Bags, those little liquor bottles, and stuff you can't even imagine. The problem areas are Broadway, especially from the town square, going the direction of Tournament Club Way. Also 415 from the 1 mile bridge to Fairway. And most egregious is Northwest Jester Park Road off Broadway. That's by the Lutheran Church. As you come out of town, you take a left and you can go down to a ramp by the lake. There are huge areas where people dump whole bags of garbage. And you know what? I love Polk City. And although I'll continue to collect garbage close to home, as I do my walk, I'm 70 years old. And I'd like to suggest some other solutions. One being some litter signage with either a $1 penalty or, under surveillance. You can have a fake camera if you want, but it should deserve a fine or some community service. Second is put a litter bin along the trail for the walkers, because sometimes you see the litter on the walking path towards Big Bear Creek. And thirdly, put some bins at the entrance of, on that street, Northwest Jester Park Road. Put a dumpster down there that the city can dump regularly. I realize that this might be a problem for illegal dumping, but, we need to have pride in our city. And we live in Iowa where wind is a constant, so, we get all these bags and everything, but people are careless as well. So I would like some sort of commitment from the council that they either put some, do not litter signs with some teeth in it, or, put some additional bins that the city will empty? What can I expect from this call?
And we thank you for the call. We'll have staff look into it and would ask that maybe if there's some ideas, they can communicate that directly back to you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Jenny, I want to just make sure there's nobody else.
Correct.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. I need a motion, please.
So
Second, and quick question on P with the ISO rating. So first of all, sorry, I shouldn't have glossed over that. I want to commend the fire department. That probably should be my whole point, but as a chief guy, is there anything that we like owners do? My understanding is that rating affects rates. Is that something, do we know, is that done automatically or just?
Jim's on it.
Jim, can you answer Rob's question?
Yeah, the ISO rating is a part of a formula that is used to determine your property owner's insurance. It has more to do with commercial than it does residential.
Okay.
This ISO rating will take effect July 1st of 2021. And you very well may see a difference in your premium. It certainly is worth asking your insurance agent about.
Okay. So again, I buried the lead. Nice work to you and the rest of the department, but.
Yep, thank you.
Also wanted to call that out as a.
Yep. It really I mean, there's a bigger impact with commercial property than there is residential, but even residential should see a little difference.
Yeah. Maybe the other thing too, just because I saw Ankeny promoting their, I think they went from 2 to 1 or something, but our achievement, given what we have and the size and all that, is no less worth noting. So maybe to throw a little publicity.
Yeah.
That way on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Rob.
Good job. Great job.
Chief, I was going to call you out on that too, because it hasn't been that many years ago. We were 5. So good job.
Whose watch was that on?
We got it to it. I'm just saying.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah. Good job. Had a motion and second. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Dvorak,
Yes.
Vogel. Yeah. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item under business item resolution 2127 approving pay app number 1 for the 2021 street repairs project in the amount of $54,310.17. Mike, are you speaking or is Kathleen? Or is anybody?
I can speak if you like. I mean, yeah, this is a pay application, and at this point, Caliber Concrete is moving forward at a good pace. They've used 30% of their working days and have completed more than that on the contract work. So project seems to be moving forward pretty smoothly. Unless Mike has anything further to add, like I said, we're recommending approval of the pay application.
Mike,
It's moving forward quickly and efficiently. So they're doing a good job so far.
take a motion, please. So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
I just, I mean, every year we spend this money on repairing streets, and I'm not saying they don't need them, because they do. That seem to me that they're not that old, but I guess they are. It's just, I guess, your perception of where you're at in life. But I've talked before about this, about concrete, curb and gutter, and asphalt in between. Does anybody know, is asphalt cheaper to repair than concrete? Has that been looked into?
Mike, do you know the cost difference between asphalt and concrete right now?
That's really a tough question to answer, just because of the fact that you really have to know, thicknesses, that type of thing. In general, when petroleum prices are higher, it evens it out. So it kind of depends on that, Ron, a little bit. That's about as good as I can give you an answer right now.
Well, that's something I'd like to see looked into without a big $50,000 study to find out, but I don't know, with grinding and retopping asphalt, I just wondered if that's cheaper than coming and busting up concrete, taking the old concrete out, pouring new concrete, only to have to do it all over again. It's just a thought. I know our ordinance calls for concrete through and through, but Parker's a pretty nice street. So that's just something I'd like to see looked into. It'd give us some money to spend elsewhere, if there is indeed a savings.
Right.
I have yes, roll call? Yes, perfect.
Sarchet? Yes.
Yes.
Roll
I
call.
couldn't remember.
Sorry, I was,
You were a second, yes. Sarchet? Did you say yes to your vote?
Yes.
Okay. Walters?
Yes.
Dvorak?
Yes.
Vogel? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
motion carries. Next item is Four Seasons Minifest, July 17th, 2021. Item 1 under that is special event application. A being road closure 2nd Street between Broadway and Van Dorn, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. and 1st Street between Broadway and Van Dorn, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Just looking for a motion approval on that. Need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Dvorak?
Yes.
Vogel? Yeah. Anderson?
Yes.
Sarchet?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item,
Wait.
no, I'm sorry.
Walters?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm used to looking at people right
I
now.
know.
Next item is waive noise ordinance Saturday until, must be Saturday, Saturday 17th until 11 p.m. Need a motion, please.
Second.
Questions? Roll call, please.
Sarchet?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
Dvorak?
Yes.
Vogel? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item, special event funding in the amount of up to $7,500. Need a motion, please.
Can I clarify something on this really quick?
Absolutely.
Every year, Go Polk City has their own insurance coverage for the festival event. They take out a separate policy. And we've recently been looking to see if this is something, since we're the main sponsor of the event, if it can be covered under the city's liability policy. And we have a call with ICAP tomorrow. It sounds like yes, indeed, it would be covered. There might be an additional charge. So my request would be that if there is an additional charge, it comes from the $7,500. We're still trying to work that out, but that's why we put on the agenda up to $7,500.
So this money is for potential insurance and not for the festival itself, correct?
It is for the festival, but we
But,
might,
but for insurance for the festival.
yes, but we might see a cost savings there, and that's why we're looking into
Yeah,
this.
I appreciate that.
Well, and I think the festival's insurance was significantly more than 7,500, right? Then what
It was estimated, I think 3,000 is what it typically costs. And Bridget, are you on the call? Can you verify that?
I am on the call. Yeah, the festival insurance for the event was $3,000. Plus we paid an extra insurance as far as liquor license, dram insurance and that sort of stuff that I don't have those costs on me, but close to $4,000 that was total.
Okay, and we're thinking it'll be less than that, but just to be safe, we're doing the up to 75.
7,500 is for the event, but whatever the extra cost for insurance is, we're gonna take it out of our payment.
Okay.
Oh, that's 7,500.
Yes.
It doesn't change my vote either way. I was gonna get that eventually.
Don't get my area.
Yeah. And I was just gonna wait until we get to the end, and having something is better than nothing this year. I'm excited that it's happening and hesitant to make any plans that are months out at this stage, but do appreciate the work to make something happen. And obviously in the last year, I know there's a lot that has been, life altering, and I don't want to be overly dramatic, but I just know that fortunately I've not been too dramatically affected. And I know that of the things on my list that were downers last year was not having a festival. So it is exciting to have something. I think it's needed, again, assuming we make the progressions that we seem to be on here and elsewhere and all that stuff. So appreciate the work that Al, Bridget, and everybody, and I'm talking with them a little bit. I get the point here that maybe there is an opportunity for the city to play a larger role than some of the other sponsors that have been very dramatically impacted. So not 7,500 to 7,500. Don't want to take that lightly at all, but that amount of money towards what I would hope would be a 72-degree sunny day on the 17th is money well spent, even if it's rainy or monsoony or whatever else we've had in years past. So.
Need a motion, please.
So
Second.
Roll call.
Vogel? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Sarchet?
yes.
Walters?
Yes.
DeVore?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is Snyder and Associates Engineering Services invoice, for February 2021, in the amount of $26,473.25. Need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
DeVore?
Yes.
Vogel? Yes. Anderson?
Yes.
Sarchet?
Yes.
Walters?
Abstain. Motion carries. Next item is reports. In particular, I'll just ask staff first, since you're across the room. Do you have anything? I can't see, so I'm gonna.
Jamie's saying no. Jim's saying no. JT?
No, from the fire department, yeah.
You got no's all the way around.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
Just echoing the thank you to those involved in coming up with the alternate plan for the Four Seasons Festival this year, again, after a disappointing year of missing out on a lot of things last year. Again, I have no doubt that we've got a creative team that tries to come up with the best way to offer things to our community. So glad to see the concept that's come through, and fingers crossed the weather will be 72 degrees, beautiful after the rain 2 years ago, and some of that we deserve a good event here. So looking forward to it.
Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
Yeah, a couple of things.
I just have a question. I heard there wasn't gonna be a car show this year.
Dr. Bridget. Talk to Al, Bridget, or Jason, I guess. They're working on the schedule. I don't think the schedule's
okay.
confirmed yet.
Okay, that's just rumor.
For me, it's good to see you all. Ron, I never thought I'd be this excited to sit next to you, but I am. So
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
plastic notwithstanding.
My-
And I do, so I don't want to make a joke and then transition to something serious when I don't have a good transition, but anyway, I just want people to know, appreciate those folks calling in. The reason that, and then I asked Chelsea about this, if there's any pushback, but I think the primary reason for not taking action or not taking, responding to the public comments is we're limited to where we can take action for things that are on the agenda. And that was verified by council, and Amy does a great job of keeping us in control. I know, especially when it's virtually, that doesn't always, that isn't always conducive to making you feel heard. And so from that perspective, know that we take those requests seriously. And I'll start with yours. I think personal responsibility is something that we can maybe tweak in our role, but I don't know that it's something that we can change. If there's something to do, I live in that same area and would recognize that as traffic has increased, so has litter on Broadway and Third and some of our other roads. It's disappointing, even more so on Chester Park as you get closer to the lake. So I don't know how much, again, you can change people's ethos and are they willing to litter like that, but if there's something we can do. To the Quick Star area, be a little bit more involved, and I guess I don't think anybody here was trying to push anything through. The preliminary and final plat happens, maybe that's a fair point to take, you know, under advisement on when, if we do that. I legitimately thought that people knew about it in the neighborhood, and I did hear some positive things, so, but we are here and to talk to Ryan and some other folks, and hopeful that we can figure something out, and again, appreciate the willingness to put yourself out there and to talk to neighbors, and hope we can come up with something, given where we are, that makes everybody happy. So.
Well, I just, related to that, I think that our new ordinances with buffering zones and everything, will that have an effect on Quick Star, or will it not, because that was filed earlier? Because we have gone to some length to redraft our ordinances to make things easier on neighbors, I guess is a good way to phrase it.
Yeah, I'd have to get back to you on that. I don't know how much stricter they would be for something like that, but
yeah,
we can look into that.
Yeah, I think that's something that we are aware of, and have been trying to prevent. And like I said, we've drafted a new ordinance that does make things tougher for commercial properties to, because no matter where you put it, sooner or later, it's probably going to be adjacent to a residential area. That doesn't make it right, but that's just the law.
Anybody else have anything else for the good of the cause? If not.
Well, I would just like to give a heads up and a thank you to Jamie. The library meeting last week was very good. They're continuing ed and educating the library board, and I'd like to say what a good job they're doing, and that I learned from that and how they are all participating. So thank you, Jamie. Nobody has anything else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?